Hi everyone, this is Raina. So this video is for the moon in Taurus and those individuals who have the moon in this exalted position, because the moon in Taurus is considered the best position for the moon to be. The moon is very changeable, and Taurus is a fixed earth sign, so there is that sense of groundedness, that sense of stability that works very well with what the moon represents. Before I talk about the characteristics of Taurus in this moon position, I want to say in general that the moon is our emotional nature. And because of the fact that our emotions are not necessarily rational, and the fact that you could call our emotions our conditioned responses, right? And that tends to bring up things that are not necessarily our true intention, but our reaction. Because think about it this way. If you are deliberately doing something with a particular intention, you're setting off to complete an action. If you are emotionally stirred up about something and then you take action, you're reacting to a particular situation. And in that case, it may not go as well as if you do things coming from the position of strength, where you are initiating action based upon your own goals in life. Your emotions tend to bring up, or actually, like I'd say, dredge up old patterns, old hurts, old fears. And, you hear this term fear-based mentality. I oftentimes think of the moon as the shadow of who we are. And so, therefore, when I look at the sign that the moon is in, I tend to see those challenging aspects more than the positive ones. But I did want to mention that the moon is exalted in Taurus. And as such, a person with this placement can be very loyal to whoever they're with. They can be artistic. They can be warm-hearted. They can really show affection. Taurus is a sensual sign, so there's always going to be the love of anything that is considered to be that heighten the senses. So a love of art of all kinds, including obviously fine art, but music. Actually, people with a prominent Taurus sometimes are really great singers because Taurus rules the throat. So the only example I can think of offhand is Jim Morrison had a moon in Taurus. Okay, so anyway, the thing about having an artistic appreciation is that there is always going to be this emotional responsiveness to beauty. And by the way, I just thought of this too, and I actually double-checked and I looked it up. Mick Jagger also has the moon in Taurus. So you go and do the math there with Jim Morrison and Mick Jagger. But talking about sensuality, that's what I meant. But anyway, this makes Taurus, especially as an earth sign, in this moon position, as having a very serene disposition and loving harmony, loving beauty. And so hanging out with somebody who has the moon in Taurus can be a very soothing experience. And so there are wonderful qualities associated with the moon in Taurus. There's a real emotional need for financial security. And I think that a lot of these people tend to attract it because it is so important to their well-being. And so there again, they have this earthy comfort that other people can really revel in when they visit them, and they are given great food, great surroundings, and things like that. Now, let's talk about some of the challenging aspects, because again, I tend to focus on those when I'm talking about moon signs. Taurus being a fixed earth sign, I think sometimes can get too hung up on the physical dimension, where they really are concerned about their possessions, about money. And Taurus rules the second house of earned income. So that is going to be an interest and a concern for them anyway. But in the moon position, you add that extra angst, that anxiety about it, where they are like, do I have enough? And it's interesting now as I start to do the tarot, where when I first started doing readings on YouTube, I was primarily an astrologer, and I started doing the tarot. And now whenever I talk about astrology, these images of the tarot pop up in my mind. And so when I think of that scarcity consciousness, I think about the Five of Pentacles in the tarot, which is associated with Mercury and Taurus. Well, I would say the moon in Taurus as well, because Mercury is the mind, but the moon really stimulates our emotional issues. And if a moon in Taurus person comes from a childhood where there was not enough food. Maybe they had to move around a lot because the parents could not afford to live in one place for very long. That moon in Taurus person will be even more committed to having stable finances. But on the downside of that can be this sense of obsession over it. And this is the other thing that I want to talk about, obsession in general, because Taurus being a fixed sign and the moon being your emotional nature, a Taurus person who is in a love relationship, and let's say something goes wrong, they can become very fixated on that relationship even after it's over. And so I would say it's not uncommon for a moon in Taurus person, if their partner leaves them, for them to, remained obsessed with that relationship. I'm not saying that they would do anything about it, but just that they get stuck in that holding pattern. And the moon in Taurus can also be very jealous when they have a partner, because again, they rule the second house, which is not only earned incomes, but possessions. And so the word possessive is, indicating that mentality that the moon in Taurus person can display. And that's something for them to really look at and root out, because that can destroy relationships. They may have a perfectly fine relationship, but it's like they have that blind spot of maybe feeling a sense of ownership over their partner. And especially if their sun is in Scorpio or even Leo, there can be like real intense, feelings of anybody who shows any interest, back off. That's my man or that's my woman. And also just a general rigidity, a hard time forgiving others when they do wrong to the Taurus person, or even like their attitudes can be very hard to shake. So if they form an opinion about something or someone, it's like an emotional thing. Opinions are not just mental. They actually are coming from our emotional body. And this is because we tie in, our feelings connect to our thoughts when we form opinions. Otherwise, we would be completely objective, and few people are. So this is another thing. And of course, Taurus is always accused of stubbornness. So whether it's the sun, moon, I have Taurus rising, and trust me, I can dig in my heels with the best of them. So there's that. I want to say, too, with Taurus, is that just as they can have a hard time letting go in a relationship, they are very devoted to their partner, and they just want to find their soulmate. They want to find that special someone. And I would even wager, not really, but, just as a saying, that quite a few of Moon and Taurus people get coupled early, where they have a very romantic interest at an early age, and they want to find a partner. And so the bottom line is that these are people who are very mellow. Sometimes, though, I will say that they're slow to anger, but once they, if they have enough grievances that they've kind of held on to, and they blow their stack, it's like the bull, that's what Taurus is the bull, just charging because they finally get fed up. But I think there's something that is reassuring and calming about a Moon and Taurus person. And you can just feel that they're emotionally uncomplicated. You don't have to kind of guess where they're coming from. Their feelings are very plain and not convoluted. And I think that really is refreshing and can make for a good partner when you're trying to navigate a relationship. So that's definitely one of their best qualities. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you'd like a private reading, this is the kind of analysis that I do when I'm talking about someone's natal chart. I have natal chart interpretation readings and a whole bunch of other kind of readings. Please visit rainaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below. Thank you. Bye.